Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome back to FM21. It's Perfect Manager. We're on episode number 19. Dynamic recovering the ball there. We are in the second half, just starting out of our final match of the season. That's a few matches on from where we left off. So we had a draw and a loss against two top teams from the league. So we at least secured 1 point. And that at the... Oh, Dynamic so close. Mackenzie Lyle keeping that one, saving it right on the line. Keeper just keeping that out. Well, anyway, two top teams in the league, but that 1 point was just enough to keep exact pace with the team just behind us in the standings. Of course, we are safe, we're secure, we're not going to suffer relegation. We currently sit in 12th place, level on points, but ahead on goal differential. We need to win this game, though, if we want to hang on to 12th place. In case of a draw or loss, well, right now, the team that sits in 13th, that's level on points, they're winning their match 1-0. At least at halftime, they certainly were. So if we want to keep 12th, we need to win. Every position counts. So that's kind of the aim today. And then a loss here could actually see us drop all the way to 14th because today's opponent, who got lucky and got a block in there, otherwise we've gone pretty close here. They've only had 2 shot attempts all game. We lead 2-1. It was a beautiful goal theirs. It was a brilliant through ball, and I thought we had it covered off, and not quite. The guy got off a long-range chip shot. Certainly not the 54 yards that we saw in the Euros, but pretty far out there, a good 28, 30 yards with the keeper coming out near the edge of the box to try to challenge the one-on-one situation. We've had 2 nice goals, both from Nicholson, who's playing today with the injured Parsons. Didn't get enough on that one. Heads it over, and let's start to make those changes. Now, the squad, everybody's playing well except for Riley Lowe. I don't know why Riley Lowe continually struggles these days, but there's the first sub. Into stoppage time already. Nicholson heads that away, and there you go. There's the game. That is the season wrapped up, so that will keep 12th place. Anyway, the opponent, Stocksbridge, they were 14th. So if they won, they would have passed us, plus the potential point haul from the team sitting in 13th, Peckering, I think it was. Either way, would have seen us drop in order where there was nothing to gain because the next position ahead of us, 11th, was 9 points clear entering the day. But we do enough. We will keep 12th place in the league. Goal differential should not be a factor, even if that other team did hang on and win theirs. I didn't see any updates in the second half, so I'm assuming they kept their 1-0 lead, or I just happened to miss it. Pickering did pick up the wins. We stay level on 44 points each. Kidsgrove is who they beat, so that actually closed that gap down slightly. We finish on -7 goal differential for the season, 44 points out of 38 played. It's not a great season. But considering we started as a relegation favorite, and we started in a relegation battle, and we lost 8 matches in a row early to mid-season, and we're clearly having the look of a team that was struggling and couldn't find players. We end up adding just 2 players this season. But what a difference it made as we shored up our defense, and the moment our defense got better, for one, we weren't bleeding goals the way we had been early in the season, but our offense got going a little bit more after that, gained a little more confidence, had the ability to push forward more frequently, more freely with a strong defense behind them, and the goals started to come as well. And we finished much better than we started this season. I mean, a good 20 points up from where what we were on pace for initially. So that is a massive, massive difference in the second half of the season. Carrying into next season, that doesn't mean we're going to be much better, but we've got a whole bunch of young players that have potential, that are developing rapidly, and we might actually see them start to make their way into the squad for this next season. And when you start piecing all of this together, and if we cut the chaff a little more, eliminate a few more of the unwanted players, the older players, the ones that aren't developing, kind of the first crop of guys we were able to bring in, I can see us inching our way up. I don't think we're going to be contenders for promotion in any way next season, but I do think we should be able to challenge more comfortably in the mid-table and maybe start climbing up, not quite, but maybe closer towards the promotion playoff zone. Of course, there's only 2 teams coming out with an automatic promotion for the winner and a playoff for second and third place. That's all you get. So minor stuff there. And then just 2 relegation teams. I don't think that's going to be a concern next season as Belper relegated on a single goal. Ouch. That is close. Redditch just surviving. I forgot that technically we had 3 players come in with Jeff Harville, but Harville only 11 starts, and I think 10 of those were through the assistant manager. 18 sub appearances contributed, and I did call him on as a sub a few times, but I think I only gave him 1 start, and that was out of necessity. But Riley Lowe, didn't do quite as what we expected him to be capable of doing. I figured he'd be closer to Golik's average rating. Golik, on the other hand, coming in just a hair under 7 for his average. And you can see Riley Lowe, who I think we signed not long after Golik, only 11 starts. So I have a feeling the assistant manager didn't select him very often. It actually could have been Harville that he was selecting instead. He is a central defender, but he is also a left back. And see, in terms of his traits, technique and tackling are kind of the main things. Heading is there just about, but he's kind of a one-trick pony at the moment. See, in terms of finances, the only difference this season was we brought in more sponsorship money. Everything else was pretty much neck and neck where it had been in previous seasons, or only slight gains. But a little more sponsorship revenue only makes a minor impact on what has been a struggle to get our finances going in the right direction. But as we continue to gain reputation, I mean, yes, it's still obscure, but as it's been picking up, we should start seeing a few more butts in seats, and that extra revenue coming in will, in the long term, really help us out. We just need to keep slowly building that reputation, and just kind of being in the 8th tier will eventually yank us up a bit higher, and we'll see at least a bit more money coming in. But right now it's been a real struggle to do anything, because facility upgrades would be kind of the ticket, and we've got a fantastic manager who should be able to woo the board into making things happen. However, with no money, they just keep denying. We've only made a single upgrade so far in 4-5 seasons now, so having a rough go of things on the financial front. One of these days we'll start making a profit and things go in the right way, or maybe we'll at least get some sort of cash injection from the board at some point that can right the ship and then get us moving again. Coppin was our chief creator, but Parsons really stepping into his role this season. For one thing, the assistant manager, and not just myself, we're actually picking him on a regular basis. So he grabs 20 goals, leading the way there, but also grabbing 7 assists, which is pretty fantastic. And plays into his role, but otherwise the creative force was mostly Noah Coppin with his 7 assists. He also grabs 11 goals. Nicholson, with somewhat limited appearances, I mean, he almost played every match, but he does grab 11 goals. He got that brace in that final match where he's mostly all speed, and his rating definitely kind of hurts a little bit. He is pretty effective, and I'll have to consider playing him a little more often in future seasons. But as we've done so much to shore up our defense this season, it's time to work on kind of the middle of the pitch. Parsons is doing a solid job, but we need a little more strength in support, so that's one area we'll be focusing on. Of course, Hansen on paper looks really weak, but he had a good season. He played well and was definitely a step up from where we were, and we've got a few guys in the position now that have high potential. So as we see development, we should see some internal competition on that. So that was kind of my big focus these last couple seasons, looking for a goalkeeper. Now that we've got some options, even though on paper they don't seem great, they're playing fine. So I think with some internal development, we'll see some improvement there. Again, the defense should be good. So onto the midfield for next season, we'll see what we can do to make some upgrades there. Player of the season, Parsons. Harville's surprising as signing of the season, as he did not play like the others. I think Golik would have been an easy choice for signing of the season, but apparently not. Man United top the rankings this year, going back to a 5-star reputation. They gained this feat by getting second in the Premier League, which that alone wouldn't get you back to a 5-star reputation, but they win the Champions League. Supposedly over the last year, we saw a significant rise in our reputation. It's still quite low comparatively. My other series that I've done where we had, major handicaps of some sort, but then some type of advantage, we progressed a lot faster than this. I mean, we've played 4 full seasons. We've moved up 2 divisions. So, I mean, it's not all bad. The finances part has been just a significant struggle with this squad. And as a result, the progress is much, much slower. And this is kind of the level of fame that I've gotten used to after just 2 to 3 seasons with other teams. So it's progressing slower than usual, but at least it's coming up. And that right now has been kind of the major key, that we can't get better players because we don't have enough of a reputation. Even though we're now in a division is a bit better, a bit higher, we're not naturally getting after those players because we still have the reputation of a team below our mark. But we're moving up, we're getting off the bottom, and we should here in time start getting better and better players. Speaking of, as we go to start the season, there are going to be some changes to the squad finally. So where last season we still really couldn't get after anyone, our sights are setting a little bit higher this year. So we'll see if we can remold the squad, even with just a few players, could make a real difference and could move us up the table a bit. One of the targets that I've had for about 3 years now, which he was already old 3 years ago and hasn't gotten any younger at 37 years of age, Charlie Lee has been out of our reach for multiple seasons. But now at 37, he's thinking both about his post-playing career as well as still getting a little more time on the pitch, enjoying himself. And so we have signed him to be our GM/player. And 37-year-old Charlie Lee is talented compared to most of our guys. And you can see he can play almost any position out there. He's slow. That's a given. But he's going to be effective for us in so many different ways. I mean, the heading, the long shots, the long throws, the corner kicks, the set pieces that he adds, the mental attributes that he comes in with, and some strength out there. So he's going to be useful in so many ways for us. He is set as ball-winning midfielder, and that's not necessarily his strength. I might think about kind of what other role I could possibly play him in. I don't think center back's the way to go with his type of technical attributes. He does seem good for, well, no, not necessarily there either. He might be better as a more creative player, but then again, he's not great there either. So how best to utilize him, I suppose, is that ball-winning midfielder role. But then he's got so many intangibles that our other players don't have. And honestly, he's only ever so slightly slower, the guy we have in the position now. So it's not like it's a huge drop-off in terms of speed. He's pretty much your standstill sort of creative force for us. But he'll read things well. Let's see, decisions are 8, off the ball is 9, positioning is 6. Vision 6. I don't know. Well, we'll figure out how best to utilize him and get him out there. But, he does come in potentially giving us a little more strength. He's probably a 1-year kind of player, and then he's going to end up retiring and then just continuing his role as GM is what I would imagine is going to happen. But for us, anyway, it's still a big addition, and it's a sign that we are finally climbing to that next level in terms of reputation. We'll see what kind of impact this has financially, but the big move that put us in a bit of a hole was to get a new stadium. Now, the stadium we had actually had significantly larger overall capacity, standing room only. Now we go into a much smaller stadium, which is unfortunate because as we move up, we're going to need a larger stadium. That was the whole point of having what we had, but because of the level we're in, the team decided for the sake of finances, for the sake of survival, that they would spend a bunch of money to move us into a new stadium that was going to be cheaper, or at least that seems on the surface what what it was they were planning. It's hard to tell exactly what the intention was there. I have no idea what's going to happen when we eventually climb up into the National League and actually need, or into the league and actually need to have a stadium of a certain size that we do not have now. But anyway, hopefully this does save us some money so that we can start to turn those finances around, because there's never been that cash injection from the board that I was hoping or expecting. They put us in this big hole. I've been pretty much break even every season, and I've been well below what we were authorized to spend. And a lot of that's because it's pretty much all non-contract stuff. It's just bonuses for playing, and we keep that on the down low, and it's good to go. Well, anyway, new stadium, so we'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, we've added our second piece, and there's more to come. Jordi Pinto, central attacking midfielder, only a 2-star guy. This is not a guy to come in as a starter, but you can see he's got high dribbling, first touch, passing, long shots. He's got some flair, high work rate, and vision. You can see what kind of player he is based on those attributes. He is an attacking threat. He is somebody who can be creative. He is somebody who can score. He's kind of slow. He's lacking in a lot of physical things, but he's young and has significant potential on where he is. Right now, I see him as somebody who comes off the bench late when you need a goal and might be able to do something with those fresh legs where everybody else is slowed down a little bit, and then his creative talents could maybe catch another team out when they are a little tired and can't cover him quite as effectively as they would at the start of the match. We'll see what that translates into, but as we get him some minutes and as he develops, if he picks up in a few other places, especially maybe a tad more speed, a bit more determination possibly, we're going to need to get him in a group real quick. Otherwise, I don't see much development coming out of him. But with some things, I mean, he is balanced at least on personality overall. With a little growth, I can see him being a pretty decent player. Right now, cheap, easy backup option. This is just the start, though. We're just breaking the surface. And like I said, I think this season, unlike last season where we only ended up finding 2 guys the whole year, I mean, that's already 2, and we haven't even had our first preseason match. There's definitely some more coming, and I'm excited that the squad might be headed in the right direction this season. Our slow crawl development in the goalkeeper department has seen us finally grab a 2-star guy, at least considering our level. Colin Hansen, a 1.5-star guy, and remember how long it took us to get there. We were stuck with a 0.5-star for the longest time, or at least when it comes to comparison. And let's see where we're at comparison to the rest of the team, that is. Compared to Colin Hansen, who had a good season. Remember, he was one of the only players on the team with an average rating over 7.0. But you could see a clear gap between Aaron O'Neill and Colin Hansen. Very similar players in most regards. Colin Hansen only a single advantage, and that's in the physical department. But aerially, they are the same. Communication, mental, speed, all a little bit better for O'Neill, and then a significant difference in shot stopping. So Colin Hansen himself had a few tangible things that set him apart from the likes of Jamie Stairs and made him have a pretty good season. But the one area where he definitely did not excel is shot stopping. O'Neill, who's certainly not all around, not great as a goalkeeper, still has some shortcomings, but the mental, the communication, the aerial, it's all thereabouts. It's survivable. Distribution's not great for either, but our play style anyway is to roll the ball out to your center backs or fullbacks, and so the distribution doesn't need to be great in that regard anyway. So it's okay. It's one area that we can get away with them being weak. But to have a +5 in shot stopping to Colin Hansen should be a pretty significant upgrade and should save us at least a half dozen to a dozen goals this coming season by making stops that Hansen couldn't make. And also still very young with potential, so we could and should see some development. After allowing 10 youth contracts to expire, we've thinned things out a little bit. Remember, our first couple of seasons, we had no youth team whatsoever. And so we took in those first couple of crops of players from the lowest level, and we've upgraded our youth level once anyway since we've been here. Plus, we've gone up a couple divisions. So the combination of those two factors, plus more reputation of the club, saw us last season bring in that new crop of youth players. It was so much better than everything we had previously. So you can really see the effect of that now, even after eliminating and getting rid of 10 youth players. We're looking at the bottom end of our list, the guys that are still in the Gray Stars, haven't even hit 1 star yet. And many of them have very low potential. You can see the majority of them are 17 years of age. They're plus a goalkeeper who's at 18, the only one on the roster who's at 18. So you can see the weakness are the older players. If you look at the better players, the players that are closer to first team and have much higher potential, you can see the majority of them are 15, 16, and only a handful at 17. So that reshaping of the youth squad is really starting to take effect. And then as for the under 23s now, this depth is totally unheard of for us where we were. I mean, we had not long ago a group of players that were old at their potential, pretty much 1 star, and that was about it. Or you had young guys with low potential who still had a ways to go that might have been slightly better than what we had in the old guard. But now, we're looking at only a single player over 21, and that's Lucas White, who was our right winger for a long time, and I just bumped off the senior squad to the U23s, and he might get bumped out entirely. In fact, if we compare him with Frank Lovett, and let's see, he's only balanced personality, meaning he wouldn't necessarily boost anything we have. And let's compare him with Lovett. If Lovett is better, then that's kind of the final tick for Lucas White. Lucas White's the one in green. He is definitely more all around. Lovett's faster, but he is more of an all around player than Lovett is. So no, we don't want to get rid of him just yet. He is our backup, our reserve. We do have Cattle as well, though. I didn't see Cattle. Let's go back in and check Cattle. Cattle in the blue, faster, more physical, better defender, but totally lacking as an attacking player at this point. So no, Cattle is certainly not better. If you're going to be a winger, you need to be able to be an attacking threat. But the big thing here is we now have a significant rise in what we have in terms of players that are almost first team capable and younger with potential that we should see some development out of. Like Pinto is, right here near the top of the list. And yes, we've added him here. Alex Cooper has moved up from the under 18s. I think Ellis has moved up from the under 18s. So some of these guys are actually from our own youth academy, which is amazing that we've finally hit that point. At the moment, Harrison Davis, Gullick, Nicholson, Parsons still our highest rated players. Connor Riley Lowe has kind of settled in a little bit. He's not so great, but he still should hopefully settle in a little better this year. Charlie Lee fits in. The general manager part, slow as a player, but still has some talent, something to offer, and we'll find a way to utilize him. He's also highly influential and professional, so he can really boost the squad in that regards, as he can help shape young minds. Carl Garbett, I've gone ahead and put a bid in. He is not first team ready right now. I think he needs to be down at the U23s. He's got good mental attributes, but he is not technically gifted or physically gifted. having stamina and technique and nothing else above a 10 is, not where we want him to be. But with the potential that he has, 4.5-star potential, we can throw him in the under 23s and give him time to develop. So we're trying to get him signed. Koja Carell, not good enough. He's going to have his trial expire here soon. But we've already added 3 players. We've got a 4th one coming in. And like I said, that's a total step in the right direction because it's so much more than what we did previously. And we had started last season, I think, with Jamie Stairs, and Colin Hansen just came in, or right at the beginning, a game or two into the season, whatever it was. But now, we've taken that next step in our evolution for goalkeeper. We also brought in those other young goalkeepers with better potential this last season, and we've gotten rid of the other ones. So I keep thinning things out. Lucas White, I want to thin out because he seems the obvious next one to go in that department. Callum Partridge, maybe, as he doesn't have much potential, and he's definitely now further back. The only reason why I didn't get rid of him previously was we didn't have better options at left back. But with George Reed, with the new signing coming in, I think we might be able to get rid of Partridge now. So slowly but surely, I keep trying to thin out the U23s, and it seems to be freeing up enough roster place where we don't seem to have a bloated roster to everybody else out there. And then players seem more likely to want to join us. So that slow rise in reputation plus thinning out the roster seem to be doing the trick. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and push forward and get to the start day of the season. There may yet be another new player or two along the way. Like I said, we seem to be progressing there, and that's a wonderful thing. I'm going to go ahead and finish the off season, and I'll see you for the opener of the season next time. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.